The Tuesday, May 16th meeting of the Board of Education. Can we all please stand for the pledge? Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Trustee McOwen?
Present.
Trustee White? Present. Trustee Fearon? Trustee McDowell? Trustee Miller? Trustee Ning? Trustee Jaros?
Here.
Trustee Saunders?
Here.
Trustee Zamore?
Present.
Quorum is present, sir.
All right. We're going to start the meeting off with the public comments. So you have a slide reading of it?
Good evening. The board recognizes the critical importance of community discourse and involvement in the education of Mount Vernon's children, and accordingly, members of the public are invited to speak at each regularly scheduled board meeting, subject to the terms of the board policy. A speaker must register in advance no later than 4 p.m. the date of the meeting by contacting the district clerk in person at 165 North Columbus Avenue, Mount Vernon, by phone at 914-665-5235, or via email at rmccormick@mtvernoncsd.org. The board welcomes all respectful comment, whether praise or criticism. However, identifying and criticizing a specific student, parent, teacher, administrator, or other Mount Vernon education official or employee is strictly prohibited. Any such complaint must be presented and addressed through the proper administrative channels. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to speak, with up to 1 additional minute to be used for the speaker to summarize and conclude the remarks. If appropriate, board trustees and/or the superintendent may immediately respond to speaker's remarks.
Let me make an additional comment tonight. We have a lot of speakers, so I'm going to be a little strict with our time. So please be mindful of the clock. Thank you.
Our first speaker this evening is Sana Bashir.
Good evening.
Hi.
How are you? Great.
Okay. I'm a little nervous.
Relax, at ease.
Okay. I'm here because I want to inquire about how I would go about changing, or how the community would go about changing the name of a school. I'm a second grade teacher at Columbus Elementary School, and just recently I was conducting a lesson regarding Native Americans, which led the students to engage in questions regarding Christopher Columbus. A student informed the class that he was taught that Christopher Columbus did not discover America and cited other explorers that had in fact sailed here way before Christopher Columbus. He went on to discuss that he was not a nice guy, and then that opened the floor to other students communicating with each other about what they had been taught by their parents regarding Christopher Columbus. And that goes all around the growth mindset in Mount Vernon about collaborating, discussing, and relating it to outside sources and outside experiences. And so from there, one of the students said, well, aren't we named after Columbus? Isn't our school Christopher Columbus, or Columbus Elementary School? And I was like, yeah, we actually are. And that then led to students saying, well, I don't know if I like that. I think there's other names that we could have that would represent our community in a better way. So I said, okay, well, what do you guys think about that? What would you like to do? Some of the students suggested a protest. I said, well, that's going to, that's jumping out, jumping out the window a bit much. So let's pull it back a little bit. And I mentioned the word petition. I said, what about starting a petition? They weren't too sure about that. So we discussed what a petition was. And from there, I went and sent an email to my principals. We had a discussion. I had a discussion with Dr. Crawford. She said, oh, I spoke with the superintendent. Protest is, not okay, but the petition is fine. So everything was great. I put up my bulletin board. We did our research, and everything was going fine. The students were walking around the building not during the lessons, or not during time where the students were engaged in the lesson, only before school started between 8:30 and 8:50. And then Channel 12 News was called. And from that point on, I was kind of like devastated. I was upset. I didn't understand what was happening. I was called into the office with Dr. Crawford and Ms. Albin and the union rep, and told to take down my bulletin board, and that the petition was now over, and if I wanted to go about having the name change, I now would have to go through the board. So that leaves me here today. I provided some information, some articles regarding Christopher Columbus. Yes, and also I have a list of names that the students put together, suggested names for the school, for the,
Before you
know.
distribute that publicly, please distribute them to the board first.
Go ahead, you could finish your statement.
Forgot what I was saying. Right now, this all leads also into our next lesson, which is titled Fighting for a Cause, where the second graders are engaged in fighting, learning about civil rights and about civil rights leaders such as Dr. Martin Luther King, Cesar Chavez, and Harriet Tubman. And after the whole News 12 thing, I didn't want to do it anymore. I was like, let's just shelf this. We'll come back to it. And they're like, no, we can't come back to this. You always teach us that when we have integrity, we fight for what we believe in. And so that's what led me here today. I want to fight with my students, and I have parents here that support the idea as well. And they're living in a world today where they're seeing Trump, and they're seeing protests, and they're seeing people fighting for what they believe is right. And I just want to be that example for them and give them something to hold tight to and lead into the next future civil rights leaders and protesters and all that good stuff.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, first of all, Mrs. Bashir, for bringing your concerns to the board. And what you may not be privy to is at the committee level, there's already been some discussion about changing Christopher Columbus, not for the reasons that you've cited, but because of the markers on the schools and the committee's desire to recognize the original names of some of our buildings. So that has already been in works. But to answer your question specifically about the process, clearly, as you know, the board is the only entity that can authorize the changing of a school name. And if there is data that you would like to present, which you have for the board to consider, what will most likely happen, and if I'm wrong, if the board decides to go into a different direction, they will advise me as such, but it would go through the committee process, and the board will entertain that and make a decision. But you also have to keep in mind the history associated with how the names got to be placed there to begin with. So, as I mentioned, it's already under consideration, not just for Columbus Elementary School, but for some of the other schools as well. And once the committee revisits that, we'll be sure to give you an update. I think your lesson is appropriate as you have described it, but I'll stop there. Okay?
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and thank you
you.
for the distribution of the material. All right.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
Latanya Hayward.
Hi, thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I also am speaking as my child, my second grader, very precocious second grader, is in Ms. Bashir's class. And while I was picking him up from school on May 10th, is when I noticed the news crew on the lawn of the school, and I had an opportunity to speak with them. They had asked me two questions. Was I aware of what was being taught to my child, and what did I think of the educator? And my response even then and even now is that I totally support Ms. Bashir and the work that she has done with my second grader and what I've seen in the class, having been, intimately acquainted with the lessons of the class, being present in the class, those kinds of things. So I really want to commend Ms. Bashir for what I've said to her privately, and I'll say publicly, and I've said to Dr. Crawford. I think she's a great teacher, and for really teaching my child the truth. And he was probably one of the ones that said, my mother taught me differently about Christopher Columbus. And so I really just wanted to support the truth being taught. What was more disturbing to me was the fact that internally, this bulletin board that my child had participated in, pictures were taken and then sent to the news. So that was more disturbing for me. But as an administrator myself, being blindsided is not pretty either. And so I respect Dr. Crawford. I respect what she has in store for her in terms of making sure that there's cohesiveness in the building. I think she's been great as well, and was not expecting this, and neither were, I think, any of us, except for the fact that it had been, as the news reported, leaked to them by an anonymous source. I do want to say, and I'm glad to hear that There has already been some discussion to change the name of Columbus for whatever the reasons are that you all may have. My reasons are a little bit different, in line with some of the heroes that I would like our community, the children of our community, to be able to respect, since, according to the Department of Education website, 92% of the children who attend Columbus School are minority children, unlike, perhaps some other areas. But I do want us to really take a look at that, and if the board can come up with a name that might be fitting, that the children can look up to, and that we all could respect and be on one accord, I would like us to take that under consideration. So thank you for sharing that as well.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Aja Cathcart.
Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Hamilton and respected Board of Trustee members.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of Pennington School and the parent community. We recently found out that Mrs. Danielle Davis Marrow will be involuntarily transferred from our school. It is our understanding that she would like to remain, and I have here 123 signatures from parents who would also like her to remain. So I'm here speaking on their behalf. They feel as if their voice has not been heard when making this decision. And so often, decisions are made for our communities without taking into account the voices of the parents who are directly affected by this, and their students and their children, and the teachers and staff. The teachers and staff, when they found out this news, they were crying. The children are upset. Every single parent that I have spoken to has expressed a degree of just outrage and uncertainty about this decision. And they've signed this petition in support of Mrs. Marrow remaining at Pennington Elementary School. The vast majority of parents support Principal Marrow, and the vast majority of teachers and staff do as well. And these petitions are a testament to that. 123 signatures in a mere 2 days of just standing out in front at drop-off and pickup for about 45 minutes each day. The parents of Pennington Elementary School and K-8 campus want their voices heard today, and they would request respectfully that the board and the superintendent reconsider this decision to involuntarily transfer Mrs. Marrow. This upcoming year for Pennington, as we all know, who are advocates for the school and advocates for the community and involved parents, is a very crucial year for our school and our community, with the expansion, with getting Pennington off of focus designation status, which my belief is that we're on track to get off focus designation status. Continuity in leadership, familiarity with our children. When I say that Mrs. Marrow walks through the halls and knows every single child's name, she knows their families and she cares about them. There's nothing to replace continuity in leadership, familiarity with children, strong leadership during a transition like this. Please, if it's at the point where this decision cannot be reversed, if it's too far along, I understand, but at least grant a stay for 1 year, given this crucial, critical year that Pennington is up against. We need her. The parents have spoken. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mrs. Cathcart, would you mind passing the petition forward so I could review it, please?
Thank you so much.
And let me just say this, because I would just like to give you a courtesy of a response. Unfortunately, because it is personnel related, I am very, very limited to how much I can share. I did receive several emails over the weekend from Pennington parents. I've responded to every single one of them. And I will say this, that I hear you, your concerns are clearly understood. As I articulated in several of my emails, change is very difficult, mostly for adults. Children are resilient. But your comments and petition will certainly be taken into consideration.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Elisa DiBernardi. Elisa. E-L-I-S-A.
Hi, good evening, Dr. Hamilton and members of the board and everyone here. My name is Elisa DiBernardi, and I'm a lifelong resident of Mount Vernon, attending public schools throughout my entire school career, beginning in Pennington. Today, I'm a grandmother of 2 little girls that are sitting here with me who attend Pennington, and it's in their best interest that I'm here, and also on behalf of Ms. Morrow. I request these few minutes to speak to you regarding her involuntary transfer as well. I am hoping that you will listen to a letter that I've written with open hearts and minds and be encouraged to revisit your decision to remove her from Pennington. 3 years ago, when my daughter and 2 granddaughters moved back home and into Mount Vernon School District, I was very excited to be a part of the introductory tour of Pennington School. When we entered the building, we were greeted in the front lobby by Ms. Morrow, who graciously welcomed us with a big smile. As we began the tour, I felt as though I had gone back in time, remembering specific classrooms from my past. Most importantly, I was overcome with a familiar sense of belonging and feeling nurtured and safe in my home school. What I took away from that day was a strong belief that Ms. Morrow truly welcomed my family into the Pennington school community, and that she was a leader who would provide a positive learning atmosphere for my grandchildren. Since their mother works long hours, it's my responsibility as the go-to person for the girls. As the years began to pass, I bonded with and continued to develop a very positive, respectful relationship with Ms. Morrow, one based in open communication. She is always visible when I enter the school to pick up the girls, and is eagerly accessible by phone and in person should I have a need to speak to her. As a recently retired public school teacher myself, I not only look at the goings-on in the school through the eyes of a doting grandma, I fully understand the dynamics of a school through the eyes of an educator. What stands out to me is a principal who cares deeply for her students and staff. She is not a leader who is holed up in her office, detached from the staff or the school population. She walks the campus daily, interacting, offering hugs to the children, or chatting with teachers and parents, motivating and building relationships. I've always made an effort to get to know the girls' teachers. In my conversations with them, it is obvious that the morale at Pennington is very high. They communicate how grateful they are that Ms. Morrow trusts her teachers and their ideas and empowers them to implement those ideas in their daily lessons, welcoming exploration which ultimately enhances student learning and confidence. Ms. Morrow has clearly developed a community of learners around students and teachers. It is this kind of leadership that inspires uncommon loyalty. Ms. Morrow makes her school enjoyable and exciting, and my grandchildren look forward to attending every day. When kids look forward to attending, they want to learn. They are happy when Ms. Morrow greets them at their classroom doors with a "remember to listen to your teachers and do your work today." They love seeing her wear PJs on pajama day, or when she wears one ponytail and one braid on crazy hair day. It's also so nice to see her at all the school functions. These effective administrative skills are what facilitate smooth school functioning and student achievement. She has made her school a happy, nurturing, and safe environment, one that promotes personal growth and confidence, and a community where staff and students feel a sense of family and belonging. I know that I am speaking not only for myself, but for many parents whom I have gotten to know as I stand in the schoolyard every day. I would like to end with a short but direct quote from a recent message written by Dr. Hamilton, and he states, "The staff here in Mount Vernon has shown itself to be dedicated and committed to academic excellence. So I ask you, Dr. Hamilton, and members of the board, aren't the above-mentioned qualities the characteristics that are the very basic foundation of a school of excellence? Why at this crucial time, as we embark on a transformation of our district, would you disrupt the continuity and stability at Pennington by taking away the heart and soul of an already incredible school. I urge you to revisit your decision to involuntarily transfer her and allow her instead to remain here at home where she is loved at Pennington. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Michelle Rayo.
Is it on already? Hi, good morning, good evening, sorry about that.
Good evening.
It's been a long day. My name is Michelle Rayo, and I'm also here on behalf of Pennington, the parents and teachers. First, I'd like to say that I'm a very strong supporter of the 2020 vision of the school board and the superintendent, and I'm very encouraged by the changes that have been made in the school district and the proposed changes that are being made. I'm not here to comment on the decisions that are being made. I'm here to comment about the communication, or really the lack of communication. I feel that people are reacting because they don't have all the facts. And rumors have been rampant within Pennington right now regarding this decision that was made. And it's been extended not only to the parents and the teachers, but now it's affected the children, where the children are hearing things wherever those sources are coming from, but now the children are being affected. And I feel very strongly that there has to be some kind of official communication that's given by, whether that be the school, because we have not received any official communication from the school about this transfer or this change, or by the district of that this change is for real, that it's not a rumor, and the reasons behind the change, whether the reasons, whatever they may be, whatever you are able to provide to us. But I think that we don't have the facts. And people are just reacting emotionally because we don't have the facts. And that's really all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
There have been, I appreciate your comments, and I think you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, we had a rollout plan in place, and information got out before we were able to implement that plan that all affected parties had agreed to. So unfortunately, we have to now do some damage control, but I have every intention on communicating what those changes are in a letter that impacts families and students and teachers specifically. And obviously, we're talking about more than just one building. So that information will be forthcoming. And I do offer my apology that the information got out uncontrolled as opposed to a control system that we had in place. But as rumors, as you mentioned, as rumors started to fester, there was no way to control it at that point.
Well, the sooner the better, and like I said, it's more for the children, because now it's reached the children.
Understood.
And I think it's important for the parents to know all the facts and be able to speak to their children about it and not react emotionally about it. But they should react emotionally, but they should also know the facts of what's going on.
Understood, and I agree.
Thank you.
Sandra O'Connor.
Hi, thank you, board members, for letting us speak here today. We do appreciate it. I'm also speaking on behalf of, well, actually, let me correct that. I'm not speaking on behalf of Pennington parents. I'm speaking for myself today. And I think I'd like to also make clear that the Pennington PTA e-board did any petitions, as we didn't vote on anything. We have over 13 members on our e-board. This was not something that was voted on. It was something that was sent out by an individual. So just as an e-board, this was not done by the e-board, just to clarify that. Not because we do not support Ms. Morrow, just because this was not voted on and it was not something that was discussed. And again, to go on what Michelle said, the reason it wasn't discussed was due to lack of information. So I find it very hard to, sorry, this is emotional for everybody. I find it hard to put forward a statement without knowing all the facts. I'm a parent at Pennington, also the president of the PTA. I have a 5th grader that I've already pulled from the Mount Vernon City School District, and I have a 2nd grader that unfortunately I'm pulling this year. I don't feel that the needs of our children are being met. I don't think that we can necessarily blame that on our principal. I definitely think we have to look at the whole picture and figure out what's going on and why we lose half of our families, why our local families leave, why we end up having to bus in kids. There's a problem, and there's no doubt about that, and we need to find out what it is. Is transferring Miss Morrow this year the cure for this? No, absolutely not. We're going into a year of changes, a year where the building is going to be in disarray, and personally, that's why I'm pulling my 8-year-old, you know. I don't feel that the management there right now does have the capability to run the building under that, but that's not because of the principal. That's because I don't believe that she has been given the assistance needed. I don't believe that she's been provided the correct resources. My daughter also is in an inclusion class that is unbalanced. It's nearly a 50% special ed. She comes home crying every night and concerned for these beautiful children that she's with. In my opinion, an inclusion class is one where everybody learns equally and fairly. And I don't believe that that's happening at Pennington either. Pennington is my heart and soul. I've been there for over 9 years. I've worked day and night at it. It breaks my heart to leave. And it breaks my heart to see Miss Morrow leave under these conditions too. I've worked hand in hand with her this year, and she loves these children. She loves this school, but she needs support, and she needs the support of everybody in this room. Thank you.
Arnell Stewart. I apologize in advance. Pamela Cazelas. I'm not pronouncing it right, I feel bad. Marissa Arispe. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you stand up.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Kenneth Hamilton, parents, staff present here today. My name is Pamela Casalas, and I am a PTA president for Columbus Elementary, as well as a parent of 4 children that are in the system. I am here before you to request an expedited review from you, Dr. Kenneth Hamilton, and board members, for our school to become a priority. We've had many situations at our school, and to start with the most recent, we had children from other schools invading the privacy of our students, coming into our yard while our little ones, kindergartners, pre-K, first graders, are in their recess time, coming and creating a commotion. We're talking about children 13 years old, 14, children from Mount Vernon High School, Mandela. These children trespassed our security guards and trespassed our property into our lunchroom after the Bell program was completely startled, to say the least. These children had to be chased to the cafeteria, and they were taking items from our school, food items. They had to be chased away by 2 of our security guard members that were there and staff members. It was brought to my attention by Dr. Crawford that we do need this fence to come up, but not only that, as a parent, I have a few concerns of my own as well. Number 1, the security, we need extra security guards. It was brought to my attention that the school is actually going to be a K through 8, or pre-K to 8, right? Yes, a pre-K to 8, I'm sorry. And if the security is not enough at this point where we are a pre-K to 6, imagine the chaotic things that can happen, not only to our kids, but to our staff, to the safety of everyone in that building when we go all the way to the 8th grade. We believe, and the reason why I say we is because I'm not only speaking for myself, but I am a representative for 545 students that are in our school, I am the voice of teachers, I am the voice of these students, and I am the voice of the parents, whom a lot of them turned out to be here today. This situation opens many doors, and one of those many doors is bullying. It has come to my attention that our school has had many situations that have escalated to extremes because proper security is not in place. And as a parent, and I stand alone when I say this because this is my personal view and opinion, I come from the city. I was a PTA president for 3 years at the school where I was. And we accomplished many changes together in union and in harmony. And I ask of you, Dr. Kenneth Hamilton, can we implement, moving forward, a reprimand system for our students who bully other students? Can we implement a program where it can be called a detention for argument's sake, where it's not just reprimanding the student that did it or asking questions or intimidating the student that conducted the bullying, but to show them that that is not the proper way. Maybe through yoga classes, have them meditate, have them do something more relaxing for the inner self, because I've learned students that bully are insecure of themselves. So instead of having sit-downs with parents coming in, parents barking at the staff like it's the staff's fault, and it is the teachers and the principal's job to sit there and pull these kids and teach them right from wrong, why not keep the child in an extracurricular activity such as yoga? Reason why I implement yoga, it's relaxing, it teaches security, and many parents will favor that as well and join it. I just ask for you to please review it as the board. And we need answers immediately because this situation has gotten very bad. Families have been chased away. And this is not proper and it's not fair. We're trying to build stronger communities, not segregate them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marissa?
Yes.
Marissa.
Good evening. I'm parent from Columbus Elementary School, and the PTA too. I want to I want to continue like Pamela. I want to read something for Dr. Hamilton. We have a lot of parents sign. We have letter for you. I want to give it to you later. Dr. Hamilton, with the parent of the Columbus Elementary School, our concern to our children and staff safety. Last week, that was 10 days ago, our students, staff, and parents have incident with students coming from another school to Columbus Elementary ground and disrupt everyone's safety. There have been times where this individual come during recess time and come into the school ground. They don't have any respect for school rule and our staff, trying to control and monitor our kids the best they can. However, having a school without fence puts everyone at risk. A small children can run to the street looking for the ball because they're playing soccer, football. So it's really, I'm really concerned. I have child, my son loves soccer, so I don't want he take his ball to the school anymore because now it's not safe. So we really looking for have solution to that situation. So we asking for, we need the fence for the next year because I realize it's not going to be ready for that year, maybe for next year. So we need this we need more security guard. I don't know how many more we can get because we have more with 500 kids in school now. So I think 2 is really nothing because one is in the front desk and the other one can be in any classroom. We need for outside, we need for the cafeteria because a lot is going on around. I think for the spring, the kid is a little more exciting and have a lot of energy. So we need more security guard, more lunch monitor for the school. I don't know how many we can get more, but I want you check all that stuff and see how we can deal with that stuff. Okay? Thank you for your time.
One thing I will say to you is that the district will be getting 5 school resource officers who are actually employed by the Mount Vernon City Police Department. We will actually be meeting on Thursday to talk about how to best utilize those SROs. So there will be some additional support available for some of the things that you've described.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
In regards, say something. Also, in regards to the fence, just a couple words about that. So we took down the old fence that actually made the school and the neighborhood look blighted. And we do plan to replace it with a new fence, similar to what you've seen going on at Graham and Trapphagen and some other schools, parts of Pennington. So we are working on that, and this is like the next stage. Part of the phase that we're looking at is to actually move the playground from the front of the school where it is right now to the upper level where the soccer or play field area was. And then that area will be fenced in, so the kids are going to be up there and they'll be completely protected in the fenced-in area over there. So the open area in front of the school, the playground will no longer be there, so you won't have to worry about a ball going out of the street or something like that. And it's going to be very attractive. It's going to be very nice. In terms of keeping the kids out, that's still going to be, I don't care how many fences you have, if these kids are definitely want to get into the school, they're going to be able to get in. We're just going to have to learn how to deal and function with that in terms of the school resource officers who are actually police department people, and we're going to have to figure out a way that we can legally deal with them and make sure that that doesn't happen, because that should not be happening. Sure. Well, when the old fence was there, you didn't have a gate either. So what was to stop them? I mean, you had a fence with huge openings.
Especially when the kids, during the school time, we okay, but now is...
No, what I'm saying is that the ball in the street I get with the fence, but the kids coming into it, I don't get.
Well, we don't have that problem before with the kids, so that's why we think it's the fence.
No. The ball going into the street, that's the fence. The kids walking right past, I mean, fence or no fence, if they were going into the school, I mean, there's a door at the school, and they still opened the door and went in, so, but that, we'll deal with that. We'll figure that out. But you will be getting your fence back, and you will be getting the playground moved up to the upper level, and it'll be beautiful and safe, and it'll be a very nurturing environment for your children. Thank you.
And one last thing, I'm sorry, please, Mr. President, I forgot to mention is we are actually implementing a character education program across the district. And so the guidance counselors will actually be going through training on how to implement the 6 tenets of character education. And so that will be, we'll be rolling that out very soon and with full implementation in September.
But thank you, by the way, even though there's been a lot of people coming up with a lot of concerns tonight, I really appreciate the fact that all of you guys are here voicing your concerns. The only way for the Board of Education to do something about the things and concerns that you bring up is for you to let us know, because there's 16 schools and we're not at 16 schools. And so you coming out tonight, participating, engaging, it's very appreciated, because this is how we know what to do. And I thank each and every one of you guys for coming out here and speaking. I mean, this is great when we have a packed house, because it really shows us that the parents and the community are engaged and they're very reactive. So it's fantastic, because usually I'm looking out into empty seats. And so I'm very happy to see the seats are full tonight and that you guys have your concerns. And I promise you, we will get to the bottom of each and every concerns that you do have. Thank you.
Juliana Peleas.
Sorry, if I may. She needs a translator.
Sure.
May I?
Sure.
Good evening. My name is Lina Juliana Pelaez. I try to speak in English if I can. Pamela helped me. Okay, we're talking a lot about the fence, so I don't want to talk more about the fence. I have a video. I recorded a video 2 weeks ago. It's the same children. A lot of problems in the community. Not in our school, not only in Columbus, it's everywhere, in the pharmacy, in the supermarket. So I recorded a video and I brought it for you. Fence. The another one is we need qualified monitors. You talk about that too. So because for the free time, for the children, we need good programs, recreation and sports program. That's good for them, so we need qualified people for that job. And another one, we need more security, and the last one, because one day walking to the school, two ladies, two teenagers, were making drugs, smoking marijuana on the street. So that's not good for us, that's not good for the community. Teenager from the Mandela, from the Nelson Mandela. Crossing, yeah.
I'm sorry, I just had to have her emphasize street difference to like, it's actually right in front of the school, in school premises, basically.
Yes. The last one is just for the security for our children. Crossing the street, the Lincoln Street is too hard because the pedestrian light is not working. So the push button is not working. I told with the transit in Mount Vernon, he say, okay, we try to fix it, but he didn't fix it. I don't feel that because I don't feel it's safe crossing the street with my sons. And the cars in that street drive at high speed, really, really high speed. I don't feel good with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't need her help.
Your English is just fine.
You're good.
Okay, one more team. Yeah. Okay, help me with that, please.
So she has a family member that she wanted to speak on her behalf, but she really doesn't want to step into her toes. So if you guys allow it, I will translate for her.
Is she on the list for to speak tonight?
She was supposed to be the one speaking on her behalf.
Okay, because we're very short on time tonight.
So, ¿qué es lo que tú quieres hablar de ella? Yo lo traduzco.
Se está presentando lo que tú sabes, lo del bullying.
Okay. So her main concern is the bullying. Tu sobrino, ¿verdad?
No.
All right. Okay, if I could just expedite,
So there has been a situation within school premises where there was a child bully to the point of strangulation, casi lo estrangulan, ¿no? To the point of strangulation, and the situation was not handled. Mom feels overwhelmed. She says she knocked on doors in the school. The situation was never handled, so they want reprimands.
Okay. Well, we couldn't, I'll follow up with Dr. Crawford in reference to that particular incident. Some of the things you named, although we share your concerns, are beyond our jurisdiction. We don't control traffic lights, we don't control speed limits, so I would encourage you, as your group is organized, that you organize them again and you go to City Council to raise those kinds of concerns. The bullying issue, that is absolutely a school issue, and we will address that. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, which traffic light is it? Which corner?
Lincoln and North Fifth Avenue. Lincoln, North Fifth Avenue.
Lincoln and North Fifth. Okay, got it. I know which one. Okay.
There are Mandela, Nelson Mandela, A.B. Davis, and Columbus School. Students crossing.
That light right there.
I got it. Okay, no problem. I will also bring it up to the mayor and the DPW.
Do you want the video?
Yes, you can bring it. Thank you. If you see it working by the end of the week, you know it's me, okay? Give me a second. Exactly. I'll even give you my number. Don't worry. I'm okay.
That concludes comment from public.
Thank you. All right, next we're going to move on to 2.2, Superintendent's Report.
Good evening, all. My report is very light this evening. Just a couple of quick announcements. First of all, I want to extend a thank you to the superintendent's cabinets for the various evening commitments over the last few weeks with helping to get the community presentations done on the budget. Thank you very much for giving me so many of your evenings. Also, we had an excellent superintendent summit last week with Wyclef Jean at Mount Vernon High School, 100 young men of color. The feedback has been exceptional. We are now planning a part 2 because the energy and synergy around that event was so phenomenal that we really need to think about what we will do with that information that our young men shared with us and then replicate that for our young women as well. And lastly, the school uniform policy is going district-wide in September. A letter from my office has been sent district-wide, and principals will be holding information sessions at their schools with their respective parents accordingly. And that concludes the superintendent's report tonight.
All right. I will not be as brief. I'm just kidding. So regarding that policy, is it, when you say district-wide, do you mean
Elementary.
elementary?
Yes.
Okay,
Elementary. Thank
all
you.
right, no problem. A little clarification there. All right, fantastic. In terms of the President's report tonight, just want to say to the community out there that we've had a very robust and sometimes contentious election season. However, you know, the best part of it all is that we've increased engagement and participation in the process. It's very important that everyone who lives in Mount Vernon, whether you have a child in the school or not, if you live here, then you should care. Because as I've said before, and I will say it again, that education is paramount to the success of a community. When you have failure in education, you have failure everywhere else, okay? Quality of life will suffer, and children will not learn, they will not be productive, crime will increase, so on and so forth. So your concern, you coming out here tonight, voicing your concerns, participating and engaging, is everything. So in terms of the entire process, the fact that people have been more engaged since I've been here than they've ever been before is great, no matter whose side you're on. So I just want to say thank you for participating, thank you for engaging. This is the way we will have a much better community. It's all about awareness, right? So when we're aware, we participate, we engage, and we will change, or we will create our own destinies. So thank you again. I just wanted to say that on election eve. And the other thing I have to say is that the district is looking up. As I go to the different schools and I go around, I speak to different teachers, I speak to different coaches. Everyone is so appreciative of the changes. I spent the morning some time at Graham School today, and it felt so good. And I felt so happy for the children and the parents walking down the street on sidewalks for the first time that were not broken, where they were tripping over. So we want to bring these type of changes everywhere in the community, in all the schools, and it's coming. So Columbus, yes, you will be getting your fence. And Williams, yes, you will be getting those improvements throughout inside the school and outside the school. So everyone will get them. Obviously, we have 16 facilities, and we can't wave a wand and make it happen overnight, because there's a lot of planning that has to go along with that. State education department's involved in that. But I just want to let you know that we will get to you. It is the vision of the district. It is part of the 2020 vision that we include all the schools. All the schools will be getting something. I know that Columbus, we just looked at your auditorium last week. We walked your auditorium, and that is going to be renovated beautifully for your children. And also the grounds there, as we just spoke. So it's coming. And just keep participating, keep engaging, keep staying aware and informed, and we will get there. We will get to the promised land. Thank you so much. All right.
Before you move on, Mr. President, I forgot something. I would like to take this opportunity this evening in conjunction with our board president to recognize one of our board members. The New York School Board Association recognition program is comprised of 4 achievement levels, and members qualify for recognition based on the number of points that they acquire around developmental activities such as new member course, board officers academy, and the annual convention, legal conferences. So this evening, I am proud to present the Board Excellence Award to Rosemarie Jaros from Mount Vernon City.
Whoa, nice.
For participation in New York State School Board Association's leadership development opportunities totaling more than 150 points.
Wow. Congratulations. Rick, where's your camera? Hold on, where's Rick's camera?
Oh.
One, two, three, one more. Thank you.
Make me look skinny.
Congratulations. All right. That's fantastic. All right. Tonight we're going to change order a little bit, and we are going to, if we don't have any objections by anyone on the board, I'd like to skip over the committee reports for the sake of brevity for tonight, for all the things that we have to cover. So if we could take a vote on that, motion to skip the committee reports for tonight.
I'm just unclear. Are you saying skip them all together, or?
Altogether, yes.
I just want to mention that I have no objection. I don't have a report, but I just want to remind everyone what the superintendent mentioned. There will be a policy committee meeting at 1:30 p.m. on Thursday in the superintendent's office, and that's an unusual time, so I want to highlight that. So 1:30 p.m. on Thursday for anyone who would like to come, and again, we'll be meeting with the representatives of the police department to discuss the implementation of SROs in the buildings, and also just more generally how we can maintain, I would say improve, but also just maintain what has been a good relationship between the district and the police department going forward.
That's actually very good. So, Ms. PTA President, I'm sorry, I forget your name. So, Pamela, yes. Sorry?
Pamela Gonzalez.
Yes. So there is going to be a meeting, a policy meeting with the police department, 1:30 Thursday at the superintendent's office. Maybe a good time for you to participate and, have them hear your voice in terms.
I've actually gone to the police department myself, and we're trying to implement a program community-wide to try and get things and awareness against bullying. But without principled people in the community, you really can't move along.
Sure, absolutely. I totally understand that. I understand that part bigly.
Yes. And just one thing, I apologize for the time. I know the middle of a weekday in the middle of the day is very inconvenient for a lot of people, but in order to schedule not only all of our schedules, but the police, sergeant schedules is very, very difficult. But if you have a particular interest or have a particular thought about how the district should interact with the police department, please continue to bring those concerns here. You can also, we all have email addresses. You can email us directly and make sure that your voice is heard even if you can't physically attend.
Absolutely. All right, so motion to withdraw the committee reports from tonight's agenda. Do I have a second? Trustee Jaros, all in favor?
That's fine.
Aye. Any abstentions? Noes? Okay, motion passes. So now we will do the minutes. You have, how many minutes do you have tonight? Just one? Go ahead.
For May 2nd?
Motion to approve the minutes from, okay, we have a motion from Trustee White and Saunders, a second. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Good. That's exactly what we needed to pass it. And
Everything's
now
unanimous
we have
tonight.
executive. We're going to do executive session?
Yes.
Okay. So right now, we are going to make a motion to go into executive session, and we're going to be, about how long?
30 minutes.
It's going to be about a half hour until we return for the consent agenda, the voting of the consent agenda. For anyone that does not remain here, I just want to say thank you again for coming out tonight and voicing your concerns and supporting the district. So motion to go into executive session for the reasons.
Purpose of discussing the employment history of a person or persons, a special education matter, and current litigation.
All right, so do we have a motion?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Abstentions, noes. Motion approves. Thank you very much. We'll see you in a half hour.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to return to the regularly scheduled board meeting. Motion, trustee Saunders. Second, I will second. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye, all right, thank you very much for waiting, those in the public. So right now, we're going to go into voting for the consent agenda. It's an opportunity for any of the trustees to remove an item from the consent agenda. Do we have any items that any of you trustees would like to remove from the consent agenda? No? Okay. So we're going to move forward on a vote. So I will make the motion. There's a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee McCohen, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. All right. Any abstentions? Any noes? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And now, I'd like to make a motion to go into recess, and we will reconvene after the election to certify it. And we expect,
Just as, we have no unfinished business, new business, just for the record,
for the record.
before we adjourn? No, I don't, no.
Okay, good. So, thank you for that.
9:15, 9:30?
No, I would say closer to 10. Once the results start coming in at 9:15, but by the time we get all 26.
Say 10 o'clock. So we call it 10 o'clock?
Okay.
Okay, we're going to call it 10 o'clock. So this board will recess now, and we will reconvene at 10 p.m. So motion on the floor to recess.
Motion.
Second, trustee White. All in favor?
Yes.
Any abstentions? Okay, no no's. All right, thank you very much. The board will recess, and we will reconvene at 10 p.m. Thank you.
The budget again for the third consecutive year, overwhelmingly with a 3-to-1 margin. So I think that is quite indicative of the public confidence in the board and the administration. I also want to welcome our new board members in. And I do have some great news I'd like to share with you while we have this audience this evening. So there is a process in place that is similar to the Grammy awards associated with high school productions. And this evening, the nominations were released at 7 o'clock this evening, and we received 5 nominations of the 53 schools across Westchester and Rockland County. We were nominated for Best Director, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Cameo for Raisin. So kudos to Ellen Collins, who is not here this evening, but our Director of Art and Music and the Gifted and Talented Program for her guidance and leadership, and thank all those who made this possible by supporting the arts and making that a priority in our district. So thank you. That's it, Les.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And we're going to make a motion to adjourn the board meeting. Motion?
Motion.
Second? All right, trustee McCohen, trustee White. Thank you so much for coming out, everyone here. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, all in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Correct. And abstentions, noes. Okay, great. Motion passes. Thank you so much and good night.